Hello everyone, today with me I have Saimi Kher, Manisha Korala and Aditi Pawalkar, and we'll be talking about the changing roles for women on screen. Manisha, let's begin with you. You've had a career span over 30 years now almost. You've been a part of some really powerful films, backgrounds like let's talk about Bombay or let's talk about Dil Se. Seeing the kind of female-centric roles that we're seeing come up right now, be it with a film like Thappad or Piku, how do you think the audience is changing the way they perceive the Indian heroine as such, and even the filmmakers?
Yeah, see, I've been very lucky to be working with some of the great directors of those days, and to be part of Bombay or Dil Se or Akele Hum Akele Tum, Khamoshi and all that. Actors were not only just a beauty thing and running around and looking pretty but I had meteor roles to perform. And you know, if I've done 90 odd films, I probably am proud about 15, 20 of them at the max. So today I feel the filmmakers, people who are involved in cinema, are actually leading the way of showing what is right and what's not right. And it's not only sidelined like an art film with a message, but it's like full-on film.
Yeah. I want to ask you, did you guys ever go back and watch like the films of the 90s or 80s and be like, this would not work anymore? I could... This is a no-go.
I have watched many, and actually I refrain from watching to know, okay, that makeup won't go, that hair won't go, that outfit won't go.
But in terms of the messaging or the kind of characters itself that the women were doing at the time.
I also watch Bandit Queen, I did also watch Mirch Masala. That is
Mirch Masala.
At one point, yes, there was, like she said, art. Cinema, and then there were artists. We had Deepti Nawalji, we had like Shabana ji, we had of course so many other great actresses performing, which was powerhouse performance. Smita Patil. Now I think it's amalgamated.
What do you think?
But there always was a very distinct difference between art and commercial cinema, and there was this much art and this much of commercial cinema, which was there in the 80s and the 90s. And it's also probably that the audiences have started accepting more relevant films, a mixture of both the films.
Manisha, I think in one of the interviews you'd spoken about how your need to act is bigger than your need to look pretty, and you just spoke about it right now as well. Do you guys in general think that the idea of beauty itself has sort of changed in Indian cinema, and what does that change for you as actors?
I have been watching a lot of movies, and I really loved when younger generation are following the character rather than just looking the glamorous bit.
Definitely.
I'll give you an example of Urta Punjab, where Alia's character shone through because she was not focused about looking pretty or glamorous. She was looking the part. And so I feel if an actor can overcome their own beauty and glamour and get into the part and give 100 or 200% to the part, I think the battle is won.
I think what I wanted to ask was, I feel like earlier there was more fear around this, that if I get into a part like this and I don't look a certain way, I might not get roles later. It's what I would understand as an audience.
I had that, to be very honest, and I went through this whole thing, psychosis, because there were enough people, they brainwash you. Ki, don't do this, don't do this, do this, and that whole thing happened during Bombay actually, and where my director and DOP had clearly told me don't put makeup on, but because of fear, psychosis was so much, and because I was already filled with so many things, I said, thoda sa laga lo. So I would hide behind and put a mascara and come, a little rouge on the cheek and come, and Manisha would catch me on there as a nikalo.
Like you said, when I started off, which was like 4.5 years ago, I did my first film, there was this whole thing of, oh, you need to always look proper with airport looks and gym looks. It doesn't make it easier, I can tell you that. So it just like you always have to have a stylist, and when you step out, you need to have, and I come from a sporting background. So I say that, this is who I am. So if I'm going to be judged on how I look at the airport and not how I act, then something's not correct here. You can portray and just be who you are, one. That is very important, but at the same time, with what social media and the advent of the unnecessary filters that we have, I just feel that we should kind of, as actors, also kind of, just kind of start putting out stuff saying be okay with who you are, and it's not always about being filtered and being made up, because let's kind of just be proud of who we are, you know.
Right. This was about beauty and how you look, but there's also another part of it, which is what you would call the villain or not. I think in your roles as well, you've called your role evil at some point in Laibari. What I want to ask was, is there a fear of being typecast now, or has that also sort of like dwindled away? Light and then
I got Laibari because I did a play called Time Boy, which was directed by Makarand Deshpande, and I was a 7-year-old girl in that.
Oh, wow.
And I got cast for Laibari.
Wow.
So it was like, I don't see any typecast. And
I'm with you with the lust stories. Of course, there's this entire conversation about if I sometimes go through comments of what people are seeing. And there's this whole thing, we're seeing this fearless woman now and she's liberated, but why is her idea of liberation only, infidelity or swearing or partying? Like, how was it for you just playing that character?
I am a product of 90s.
Yeah.
So that somewhere I am also influenced by the thinking of that. And I constantly have to work with myself to unlearn the things and to move with time, which personally, I believe in these things. But professionally, I've been trained in certain way. And when Dibakar narrated me something, I somehow was apprehensive, and I wanted to, because again I was seeing through black and white kind of glares, and whereas Dibakar actually was seeing through gray areas.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to my views and the director's views, we have some kind of a conversation, and when he convinces me, I completely surrender to his view, and thank God for that.
Yeah.
Because then it just the film, the way it ended, and that really worked. If it had left on to my decision, I would have done probably the old school kind of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of women are coming forward speaking of the pay gap. Of course, men being paid more for the similar type of roles. Do you see that changing now, as and when people are speaking more and more about it?
Right now, I'm not in a position to say why am I not being paid as much as Ranbir Kapoor. It doesn't make sense because he brings the money to the table. But when a Kangana Ranaut, Deepika Padukone, or if a female is driving in the audiences, then she should be paid equal or even more. It's the commerce that drives I feel, the payrolls.
I think it's about time. Women should start demanding equal pay, because same kind of a job, same kind of this thing.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree with her where she talks, which says that whoever is driving the project in terms of commerce should be paid. I mean, of course, there's if the comparison between a newcomer and an actress and a Ranbir Kapoor is totally different. But if it's two equally powerful and important male and female lead, I don't think their pay difference should be big, which exists even today. But hopefully in tomorrow, as people talk about it, as women start putting their foot forward and they start, okay, we are not going to do it, I'm as popular and I am as good, so I demand that. I think it's women also trying to, demanding, putting it across that we are no less. And that time will only happen when collectively everybody talks about it and supports it.
And lastly, I wanted to talk about, of course, the Me Too movement and the kind of, do you guys feel safer in general now with, even if it's on auditions or on set? With
it's
the
certainly a
conversations
changed atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it's just that you now know that they know.
They're
That's
more
my
aware,
confidence.
is it? Do you think they're more aware of their own behavior?
No, it's just what do you say? Like
It's basically, today people will think 10 times before they can mess with you.
Exactly.
So, which wasn't the earlier case.
Yeah.
The most powerful probably could get away with many things.
Yeah.
But today, I don't think that will even cross their mind. They could cross their mind, but they'll be
But they
super,
won't
super
be-
careful
they'll be
what
very
they
careful
do.
with
Exactly.
what they do. Yes.
So
you
that-
feel it, but in the air, you do feel it, of course.
All right.
Yeah, so it's great.
So on that note, I hope we put our foot down as a society. And thank you so much for talking to the
Thank
Queen.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.